Greetings to everyone. This is Anushka from Example, a student-driven platform to help you crack your NEET exams hassle-free. Today we have Dr. Rimjhim Mathur with us, currently in first year of MBBS and pursuing her degree from the prestigious Lady Hardinge Medical College. It's a pretty renowned college which needs no prior introduction, and it goes without saying the level of effort required to get in. Very heartily congratulations, Dr. Rimjhim, for your achievement. I'm sure the journey must not have been easy. So, without any further ado, let's begin with the interview. So, my first question to you is what was that motivation which inspired you to become a doctor?
There are many instances, I would say. One of them being that the body, I believe, is God's own spectacle. How ironically, there are a lot of things that are undiscovered in the body and still we carry it with ourselves every day. So that is one thing which really inspired me. Also, my Nanaji, he's a doctor, and the entire family, they revere him. I mean, all these things took me here.
Okay, right. So, like Dr. Rimjhim, may I know what method of study did you adopt while preparing for your NEET examinations?
I always, made efforts to study whatever was taught in the class the very same day, even if it was a simple reading that I would make. And I would prioritize my study patterns, devoting more time to things that I was weak in or I found tricky or complicated, and did revisions for all those topics frequently.
Okay, like revisions are also very essential part of learning, right? Yeah. Okay. So like I would love to know that how did your typical day look like while you were preparing?
I'm a morning person, so I used to wake up at around 6 and sit for studying at 6:30, and then I used to have a good 4 hour stretch of studying till about 10:30, and do my morning rituals after that, like having my breakfast and all that stuff. And then there was a very important thing which I used to do in my day. I used to revise what I did the previous day in a span of an hour at around 11:30 to 12:30, and then I took a break, had my lunch, and got a bit relaxed. And then 2 to 5, I used to solve my exam, any mock test that I was appearing for. So it was just a way to condition myself that during that time I have to be at my maximum efficiency. After that, I used to relax, follow up on my web series, and then just dinner and an hour of MCQs solving. Then I used to sleep.
Okay, so like you managed your study life as well as your extracurricular activities, we can say, very effectively. Okay, so like what was your weakest area and how were you able to manage it?
My weakest area, as I can recall, is inorganic chemistry. It was really painful for me to go through the facts because they were straight facts. There was no head and tail to it. So what I did was I made summaries of those chapters, and after learning them, I used to try learning them and then note them down whatever I could recall on a paper. And if I had missed out on something, I would go and check it back, and then I used to revise from those summaries again and again.
Okay, so like you created summaries which really helped you gain focus or on your weakest area. Okay, this is how you managed it. Okay. So like see there are various pressures arising due to studies. So how were you able to deal with those pressures?
I used to share it with my parents, my close friends. It was a complete catharsis. So it really helps. And contrary to the belief that common people have, I did not isolate myself. And, they gave me a different light to whatever I was thinking. And so it helped me to overcome any blocks that I would keep in my mind or any problems that I would be having. Sharing it would simply, reduce it to a
Okay.
much greater extent.
Right, right. So like during your exams, there was a COVID period, right? So how did this COVID affect your preparation?
uh, COVID gave me a lot more time at my home. My coaching was going on online, so the commuting time that got a bit saved. And then apart from that, the downside was that there was a lot of uncertainty in the date of the examination. When is the exam going to take place, and what is the pattern of question paper going to be? So all these things, they did instill a sense of fear in me. I'd be honest. But
Then do you overcome your fear, right?
yes, I did.
Yeah. So like, of course, there are various difficulties and problems we face, while preparing. So how did you manage those problems?
Initially, my only problem was time management because I wasn't able to figure out how should I balance my personal life and my studying time, and then further in the question paper, how much time should I devote to every question. And then there was another thing that I used to learn from my mistakes, but in the next question paper, I used to make a different mistake. So I did not repeat my mistakes, but I used to make new mistakes.
Yeah.
So the negative marking part, I had to cut down really important. That is really important because that is the make or break factor in NEET, believe it or not. But I did that by practicing more questions, and yeah, that requires a lot of practice and consistency.
Yeah, consistency matters the most. Yeah. So like, how were you able to maintain a healthy study personal life balance?
I used to, devote 1/3 of my day to recreation and 2/3 of it to studies. So this way, I did not miss out on anything. If I was studying for an hour, I used to follow this 50-10 policy that 50 minutes I used to study for one thing because that was my attention span. I figured it out that after 50 minutes, my mind wanders off. So that 10 minutes instead of sitting in front of the book, I used to go out, do something, talk to my mom or talk to a friend, and then come back and start again.
Okay. So this is the strategy which you followed, right? And it helped you. Okay. So like Rimjhim, there were almost 15 to 20 lakh students who gave NEET 2021. And, of course, everyone must have prepared well. But what did you do differently, which resulted in your success?
I think persistence and resilience, can get you through it because there are a lot of people I've seen who are pumped up initially when the preparation begins that we're going to do this and that. But maintaining that throughout, even when there are lows of your preparation, when you're not doing well, maintaining that confidence that you can still do it and working hard towards it is very important. And the way we apply certain concepts to figure out what kind of questions are going to come, all those things, they come with practice. And even if you don't study throughout the day, just do it every day. That is more important.
Okay, it's really good to know. So like Rimjhim, what was that which still helped you, to move forward in your second attempt?
Even during my first attempt, I think my concepts were quite strengthened up. But what I lagged was in time management, and I missed on the tricks and tips that were required to solve questions quickly. So I focused on that part, gave more time to it, did more of MCQs, and especially I made my practice time bound, which is why my idea was not to increase the number of hours I study, but with practice, do more within the same number of hours.
Okay. It's really, efficient strategy which you followed, right? Okay. So like Rimjhim, our future NEET aspirants would love to know that what was your parents' reaction when they learned that you have cleared your examination with such amazing marks and ranks, and soon you would become a doctor?
They were elated, of course, as they shared the good news with all our well-wishers. A lot of love and blessings, they all came my way, and I'm really grateful because they've played a very important part in my journey. Right. And I was really happy to see them that way.
Okay, right. So you really made your parents feel proud for you. Okay. So how did you manage everything along with your preparation? Because your paper pattern had a sudden change, which was announced just 2 months prior to your exam.
Towards the end of my preparation, I was done with the concepts and solved my modules and everything. So I focused on how to improve my revision strategy because that was the only way I could maintain my accuracy. And I also saw the new pattern change in my benefit because at the end, it was a certain choice which was being given to us in the paper, so that we could do those questions which we were better at and score even better than we could if the choice was not given. So I took it positively, and I practiced the time management part.
Okay. Like positive approach is very much important. Okay. So like Rimjhim, were there any other books you referred to other than NCERT?
I used more of the books which had MCQ questions in them. I did not use any other book for reading purposes.
Okay.
So I took Dr. Ali for biology MCQs because that book is really good. It forms question on every line of NCRT, and through that book, you are sure that you've gone through every line of the book, which is really important for me. And I also took MPG MCQ question books and all that. I did all the MCQs.
Okay, so you referred books for solving, MCQ questions. Okay. So now you are into your dream college. How does it feel to get into your dream college?
It's absolutely amazing. I mean, LHMC is a very prestigious college, and for a reason, of course, it has a 100-year-old legacy of great doctors, and I'm just humbled to be a part of it.
What was your last moment strategy before appearing for your NEET examinations?
I mean, I kept revisiting those concepts that I found that I was making more of my mistakes in. And I focused on making summaries of those topics, which were, quite vast. And if I was to open the book and look at them a day before NEET, I would not be able to do that. So 15 days before, I started, collecting my thoughts as to what I know about a particular topic and started writing them. It took me only 10 or 15 minutes per chapter or so. And then I used to check it from the book if I was missing something. So that way I checked how much I knew, and also I looked at the book again.
Okay, so your last moment strategy was planned 15 days prior to your examinations. This is how you managed it. Okay. So what would be your piece of advice to the students who are currently in their 11th, 12th, as well as repeaters?
I would say stay consistent. Don't think of your studies to be a burden, and identify your shortcomings instead of brushing them under the carpets, because those are the points which can take you to which they can really give a boost to your marks. And there is also a very important thing that have a good diet and sleep, because there are people I've seen who miss out on their sleep in order to study, but the end result is that you're not only messing up with your exam but also your body, and it leads you nowhere. So at least have a 6 hour sleep. That is the bare minimum that you need to have, and interact with people. Don't get into your own zone. I mean, you need to interact. You're a human, and it is difficult to strike that balance initially, but keep on practicing and trying to strike that balance.
Okay, like we must follow a normal routine, not just only study and study and study. Okay, so what role has peer-to-peer learning played in your life at your MBBS level as well as your prior studies?
There are a lot of things that we learn from our peers, because always the people who are preparing for NEET, all my peers were of course preparing for NEET. So they are all, aspirational people. They are aspired to become something, and they keep you motivated. And not only that, there are certain concepts which not only the teacher but your friend can explain you better. So that way, when there's a collective learning, the knowledge multiplies. So that is really
right. Okay. So now coming on to the next question, what are your future plans? What interests you the most?
my plans as of now. I mean, I'm just looking at the bigger picture and trying to become a good doctor who, who has learned something in those 5 years. I am trying that I can take out at least something which I can apply or talk about to my patients when I move out of the 5 years course.
Yeah.
And the interest, I'm still exploring my interest. I waited to get into the medical college so that through my 5 years, I can figure out as to what I want to further go into.
Okay.
So I'd not like to comment on that yet, but
yeah, but you'll surely be a doctor, a good doctor, really. Okay. So like what do you like about the most about our example app?
I think the very initiative of bringing insights from people who've been through the exam and collecting those tips, or I should say, those advices that we can give to the future NEET aspirants. I think that is a very nice thought.
Okay. So now jumping on to our last question, what would be your message to the future NEET aspirants who want to walk the same path as you?
I'd say that there is a balance between the hard work and smart work that you have to strike. And it's not only about studying throughout your day, but also how are you becoming in the entire process, how strong you become, how confident you become, and how well you start to manage time. Because I think that is what is required in a medical school. When you enter into MBBS, it all depends on how you manage your time, how you devote your time to your studies, to your friends. Because with studies, you are living your life and you have to enjoy what you're doing, even if it is preparing for NEET. I know it's stressful, but you need to look at the bigger picture and think what is going to come.
Right. Okay. So that's a really very inspirational message, which I hope that students will really, look onto it. Okay. So with this, we come to an end of our interview. Thank you so much, Dr. Rimjhim. It was really a pleasure talking to you. This was very insightful, and we hope that the students must have learned a lot of things from this session and will surely implement all these tips and guidelines in their preparation. It was a very enlightening interview. Thank you for making time for the students today. We wish you all the very best for your future.
Thank you.
Thank you.